She claimed to see spirits, hear voices. She was fascinated by death. Olcott, the skeptic, the lawyer, the investigator, became her ally. And in 1875, together, they decided to form a society. They were challenging the status quo of religion, of science, of reality itself. Their symbol was a fusion of the swastika, the Star of David, an Egyptian ankh, and the Ouroboros serpent. And on the walls of their society, they inscribed a single line: "There is no higher religion than truth itself." The society believed that he was the chosen one, but what happens when the one you've anointed starts asking his own questions? Let me ask you something strange. What do a chain-smoking Russian mystic, an American Civil War veteran, and whispers of Himalayan masters have in common? No, this isn't a riddle, and it is definitely not a Netflix series. Though it could be. Hold on. I have a premise of a series where there is a Russian mystic, a Civil War American veteran. Can you search and find if there is a Netflix series or any series on any other platform based on this story?
Find a series that matches your exact premise of a Russian mystic and a Civil War American veteran. It's definitely a unique concept. If you want, we could brainstorm some ideas for how you could develop this premise further.
Well, this was a real story, even if it's not a Netflix series. And in the winter of 1875, inside a small apartment in New York, this unlikely group sparked a spiritual movement that would spread across continents, shake up the Indian nationalism, and even influence Gandhi. And at the heart of it all were secrets, ancient ones. This is the story of how Theosophical Society was born. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. The name alone sounds like someone out of a Gothic novel. But she was very real, and absolutely nothing like anyone else of her time. She was born in 1831 in what's now Ukraine, into a noble Russian family. And from childhood, there was something offbeat, something electric about her. She claimed to see spirits, hear voices. She was fascinated by death and what lay beyond it. At 17, she was married off to a much older man, a general, but within weeks she ran away. She would later say she only married him so she could travel freely, and travel she did. Egypt, Turkey, Greece, Tibet, India, England. For years, Blavatsky disappeared from the public eye, and no one quite knew where she was. And when she finally reappeared, she claimed to have studied with hidden masters in the Himalayas, beings she called Mahatmas, who had initiated her into the ancient wisdom of the East. She said they had given her the knowledge of the real laws of the universe. And whether you believed her or not, she had this uncanny ability to convince people around her that she knew something you didn't. Oh, and did I mention, she smoked like a chimney, cursed like a sailor, and dictated her books like a general leading an army. She was fierce, brilliant, dramatic, and just mysterious enough to make you lean in. Some said she was a fraud. Others thought she was a spiritual genius. But no one ignored her. Now enter Henry Steele Olcott, an American, a lawyer, a former colonel who served during the Civil War. He was known for investigating corruption and fraud, a man of logic, reason, and a growing curiosity about the supernatural. In 1874, Olcott was sent to investigate a series of spiritualist phenomena in Vermont. You know the type: levitating tables, ghostly knocks, and people claiming to speak to the dead. Yeah, and you know what? Who else was there? Blavatsky. But she wasn't like the others. There was a conviction in her voice and a string of unexplained things that would happen when she was around. Objects moving, flames rising without fuel, messages appearing out of thin air. Olcott, the skeptic, the lawyer, the investigator, became her ally. He didn't just believe her, he followed her. And in 1875, together, they decided to form a society, a spiritual brotherhood, one that would shake the foundations of religion, of science, and philosophy. It was late September in New York City, a smoky, dimly lit apartment on Irvine Place. A group had gathered: spiritualists, philosophers, free thinkers. And over a conversation that began like any other, something shifted. Olcott proposed forming an organization, something official, dedicated to exploring hidden knowledge. Blavatsky lit another cigarette and nodded. The Theosophical Society was born. Its mission was ambitious: to form a nucleus of universal brotherhood of humanity, to encourage the study of comparative religion, philosophy, and science, and to investigate the unexplained laws of nature and the powers latent in man. Sounds simple, but this wasn't just theory. They were challenging the status quo of religion, of science, of reality itself. Their symbol was a fusion of the swastika, the Star of David, an Egyptian ankh, and the Ouroboros serpent. A visual reminder that this movement wasn't just Western or Eastern, it claimed to go deeper than both. And on the walls of their society, they inscribed a single line: there is no higher religion than truth itself. That was their creed. As the society grew, so did criticism. The Western press mocked them. Blavatsky was labeled a fraud. The society was seen as a curiosity at best and a cult at worst. So in 1879, Blavatsky and Olcott did something radical. They left behind it all and set sail for India. In Madras, now Chennai, they found something they hadn't in the West: reverence, curiosity, connection. They set up headquarters in Adyar, and from there, the society exploded. Indian scholars, reformers, and spiritual leaders joined. Suddenly, they weren't fringe anymore. They were a movement. As the movement grew, so did the cast of characters. Annie Besant, a fierce speaker and intellectual who'd gone from atheist to high priestess of the Theosophical flame. Charles Leadbeater, a psychic who claimed to see auras and speak with spiritual beings. Subba Roy, an Indian scholar who challenged Blavatsky's interpretations of the Gita. W.Q. Judge, who carried the society to the US West Coast. But with growth came fractures. Leadbeater was accused of misconduct. Blavatsky was called a plagiarist. Factions formed. Egos clashed. But through all the chaos, one event would change everything. It was 1909, a hot, quiet day on the beaches of Adyar. Charles Leadbeater was walking along the shore when he saw a boy, thin, quiet, frail-looking. His name, Jiddu Krishnamurti. But Leadbeater didn't just see a boy. He claimed to see an aura. He said it was the most radiant aura he had ever seen. Pure, untouched, and filled with divine potential. He turned to Annie Besant and said, "This boy will be the world teacher." And just like that, the society changed course. They took Krishnamurti under their wing, educated him, trained him, worshipped him. They formed the Society of the Order of the Star in the East, an organization that would prepare the world for his coming teachings. But here's the thing. Jiddu Krishnamurti didn't ask for any of this. The world was watching. A boy once found wandering on the beach now stood at the center of the global spiritual movement. He was raised to lead, trained to teach, and prepared to become the next great world teacher. The society believed that he was the chosen one, that he would reveal a higher truth to all of humanity. But what happens when the one you've anointed starts asking his own questions? In our next episode, we trace the rise of Jiddu Krishnamurti and the moment everything the Theosophical Society believed began to unravel. And that wraps up today's episode. If it sparked a thought, a question, or just made you pause for a moment, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm we're doing something right. Subscribe if you haven't already, because this is just the beginning. Also, the Mann Podcast is now the Mann Show. We'll still bring you the same thoughtful and inspiring podcasts, but we are expanding. Now you'll also find videos on topics that intrigue us, inspire us, and bring us joy in the simple act of seeking. Drop a comment below, share your thoughts and your questions, or that one idea that you cannot stop thinking about. And as always, stay curious. See you in the next one.